All right, so you found your way to the deep dive, which means you want to get the full picture without wading through mountains of information.
Right, to the point. Yeah.
Yeah. So today we're diving into something we've been getting a lot of questions about lately, getting a master's degree in Dubai.
It's definitely gaining popularity.
Yeah, and we've been doing a lot of digging into this, looking at university rankings and talking to people who've actually gone through the experience.
Trying to get the real story. Yeah,
Exactly, because, brochures and websites can only tell you so much.
definitely.
So our mission here is to give you the essentials. What are the real opportunities? What could be some of the challenges? And just like the practical nuts and bolts of what it actually takes to make this happen.
We want to equip you with the knowledge to make an informed decision, right?
Exactly. So what we found is honestly pretty interesting.
It is. Yeah, there's this really unique mix.
Like on one hand, you've got these globally recognized degrees and real career potential in a booming economy.
And that multicultural environment you hear so much about it really seems to draw students from all over the world.
But then there are things like the cost of living that you have to really think about.
You know, the whole picture.
So let's start with the basics. Why is Dubai even on the map for master's degrees?
What makes it stand out?
Yeah, why are people increasingly choosing to go there?
Well, it seems to be a combination of factors.
Okay.
Consistently, what comes up in our research is the quality of the universities, a strong and importantly growing economy,
Yeah, that makes sense.
and that diverse cultural scene, which, as we said, really attracts students from all over.
Okay, so it's not just hype. There are actual strong institutions there.
Oh, absolutely. We're talking about some big names with serious reputations.
Give me some examples.
Well, let's start with the University of Dubai. They're really well regarded for business law, IT software.
Okay, those are all pretty in-demand fields right now.
Huge. Yeah. And they have international accreditation, which matters.
Shows a certain standard.
Exactly. And then you have the American University in Dubai, AUD.
Okay, familiar name.
Yeah. Strong programs in engineering, business, and architecture.
Mm-hmm.
And they've got this international faculty, which I think adds a really interesting dimension.
Broadens perspectives.
And they've got really strong connections with different industries, which is a big plus for students thinking about their careers.
That practical application piece.
Absolutely crucial. And we can't forget Heriot-Watt University, Dubai.
Okay, I haven't heard of that one.
They're big in data science, business, and engineering, and they offer accredited UK courses, which could be a big draw for some students.
Oh, interesting. So you can actually get a UK degree while being in Dubai?
That's right. And they've got flexible study options, too, which is always a plus.
Heard that, yeah.
And then there's Middlesex University, Dubai.
Okay, what are they known for?
They're strong in fields like psychology, law, and media, and they have a really big focus on research and development.
So if you're interested in more of the academic side of things...
Yeah, potentially going on to a PhD or something like that.
Exactly. Okay, so we've talked about specific universities, but what are the overall advantages of getting your master's in Dubai?
Like, what really sets it apart on the global stage?
Yeah, besides the specific schools themselves.
Well, the biggest thing that kept coming up was global recognition of the degrees.
Okay, so your qualification will actually hold weight internationally.
That's right, because Dubai's institutions often meet international standards. Your degree is likely to be recognized pretty much anywhere.
That's huge, especially if you're thinking about working in different countries.
Makes you more mobile. Yeah. And then there's the job market itself.
Right. Dubai's got a pretty booming economy.
It does, and it's growing, especially in areas like finance, technology, and tourism.
Fields where master's degrees are really valuable.
Yeah. And we actually found some stats on this. One of our sources mentioned that around 80% of graduates from top institutions in Dubai find jobs within 6 months of graduating.
Wow, that's really impressive.
Pretty strong indicator that there are opportunities there.
Definitely. And something else we kept hearing about was the tax-free salary situation.
Oh, yeah, that's a big draw for a lot of people.
It's a huge financial advantage, compared to many other places where you might study.
Especially if you're taking on debt for your education.
Yeah, makes a big difference. And then there's that whole multicultural environment.
It's not just about studying there. It's about being immersed in this truly global community.
Right. Interacting with people from all these different backgrounds, that has to be an incredible experience.
Really expands your horizons.
For sure. And Dubai is really pushing to become a hub for innovation.
Yeah, especially in areas like AI, fintech, and sustainability.
So if you're interested in those fields...
It's a really exciting place to be.
Okay, so we've talked about the good stuff, but what about cost?
Oh.
A lot of people are concerned about tuition fees when they think about going abroad.
That's understandable. But what's interesting is that compared to some Western countries like the UK or the US, Dubai, can actually be more affordable. Yeah, in some cases. And there are scholarships available too, which can make a big difference.
We'll get into the details of that later, but first I'm curious, what are some of the most popular master's programs in Dubai?
What are people actually studying there?
Yeah, what are the in-demand fields?
Well, the MBA is definitely a top contender.
The classic MBA.
Yeah, and they often have specializations in things like marketing, finance, entrepreneurship.
Makes sense given Dubai's business focus.
Right. And engineering is also really popular, especially mechanical, civil, and AI-focused engineering.
Oh, so the cutting edge stuff.
Yeah, following those global trends, and then data science and AI, those are explicitly mentioned as being in high demand.
Not surprising at all, given how much those fields are growing.
Exactly. And for anyone interested in international business, those programs are also really relevant in Dubai.
Makes sense with their global trade connections.
Yeah, and then there's hospitality and tourism management.
Of course, Dubai is a huge tourist destination.
Right. So that industry is thriving there, making it a natural focus for master's level study.
Okay, so let's say someone's listening to this and they've found a program they're interested in. What are the practical steps to actually apply to a master's program in Dubai?
Well, process is pretty standard, but there are some specific things for international students to keep in mind.
Right.
So the first thing is you typically need a bachelor's degree from a recognized university that's just the baseline for most master's programs globally.
Makes sense. What if your bachelor's wasn't taught in English?
Well, then you'll probably need to show proof of your English skills through standardized tests like IELTS or TOEFL.
Okay, so that's something to plan for in advance.
Absolutely. And for some programs, especially MBAs, they might want you to have some work experience.
So not straight out of undergrad?
It depends on the program, but it's worth checking.
Right. And then there's the whole personal statement side of things,
Ah, yes, the statement of purpose.
where you really have to sell yourself.
It's your chance to tell your story, why you want to study this specific program in Dubai, what your goals are.
And really make a strong impression.
Definitely. And you'll also need letters of recommendation.
From professors or past employers?
Yeah, people who can speak to your abilities and your character.
Okay, so you've got all your documents together. What's next?
Well, first you need to do your research.
Really dig into the program?
Yeah, look at the curriculum, the costs, who's teaching the courses, what kind of career support they offer, how many graduates actually get jobs.
So much to consider.
It is, but it's worth taking the time to find the right fit.
Absolutely. Okay, so you've chosen your programs, then what?
Then it's time to submit those applications.
And be really careful about deadlines.
Deadlines are crucial. You don't want to miss those.
And make sure you have all the required documents.
Double check, triple check.
Okay, and while you're doing all that, it's a good idea to start looking for scholarships.
Oh, absolutely. Many universities in Dubai offer financial aid, so it's worth exploring all your options.
That could make a huge difference in affordability.
It really could. And then once you get accepted,
Fingers crossed.
you'll need to apply for a student visa if you're an international student.
Right. And usually the university will help with that process.
They'll guide you through it.
Okay, so we've talked about the application process, but now let's get down to the nitty-gritty. The cost.
The money talk.
Everyone wants to know about this. So how much does it actually cost to get a master's in Dubai?
Well, tuition fees can vary quite a bit.
Okay.
We saw figures ranging from around 40,000 AED to 120,000 AED per year.
So it's a significant investment?
It is definitely not something to take lightly.
But you mentioned scholarships earlier.
Yes, there are definitely ways to get financial assistance.
Tell me more about that.
Well, there are merit-based scholarships for students with excellent academic records.
So if you've got good grades.
Yeah, and there are need-based scholarships, too, for students who demonstrate financial need.
Okay, so there are options for different situations.
And some companies offer sponsorships for employees who want to pursue further education.
Oh, interesting. So if you're already working.
Yeah, that could be a possibility. And we found that some scholarships can cover up to 50% tuition fees.
Wow, that's a lot.
Yeah, it can really help.
Okay, so tuition is one thing, but what about living expenses?
That's another big piece of the puzzle.
Right. Dubai can be an expensive city.
It can be.
Yeah.
So you really need to budget carefully.
Okay, let's break it down. What about accommodation?
Well, student hostels can cost anywhere from about 2,500 to 5,000 AED per month. And if you want to rent a private apartment, that'll be more like 3,500 to 7,500 AED per month, or potentially even higher.
Depending on location and all that?
Exactly. Size, amenities, all of that factors in.
Right, and then there's transportation.
If you're using public transport, the metro and buses, it'll probably cost you around 300 to 500 AED per month.
Okay, that's not too bad.
But if you decide to rent a car, That'll be a lot more expensive, probably between 1,500 and 3,000 AED per month or more.
Yeah, that adds up quickly.
It does. And then you have to factor in everyday expenses, food, groceries, personal care.
All the essentials.
Our sources say that'll probably be around 2,000 to 4,400 AED per month.
So you've really got to think about all those costs.
A detailed budget is crucial.
Absolutely. But it's not all about spending money. Some students can actually work part-time while they study.
That's right. It's not always easy, but there are opportunities out there.
In what kinds of fields?
Well, we saw mentions of finance and banking IT and software development, advertising, and marketing.
Okay, so areas that align with Dubai's economy.
Exactly. And of course, hospitality and tourism.
Always a big one in Dubai.
Right. So those are some potential avenues for earning some income while you study.
Oh, okay. So we've talked about the good stuff, the opportunities, the costs, but what about the challenges?
Yeah, there are always two sides to the coin.
What are some of the things that students should be prepared for?
Well, as we just discussed, the cost of living is a big one.
Especially accommodation.
Yeah, rent can be a big chunk of your budget.
And what about working while you study? You said it's not always easy.
Yeah, work permit regulations for international students can be pretty strict.
So you can't necessarily count on working to cover all your expenses.
Yeah, right. It's best to have a solid financial plan going in.
And then there's the whole cultural adjustment.
It's a different culture, a different way of life,
Moving to a new country is always an adjustment.
but especially one with a distinct culture like the UAE.
Yeah, you have to be open-minded and willing to adapt.
Absolutely. And something else to be really aware of is the visa situation.
The rules and regulations.
Yeah, the requirements for renewal and sponsorship can be pretty specific.
So you have to be on top of that.
Don't want to run into any problems.
And even though Dubai has lots of job opportunity, it's also a competitive market.
It is, so you need to be prepared to put in the effort.
Network, build your skills.
Exactly. Don't just assume a job will fall into your lap.
Right, and one thing that our sources really stressed was being careful about accreditation.
Oh yeah, that's super important.
Make sure your university and your program are properly accredited.
Otherwise, your degree might not be recognized internationally.
And all that effort would be for nothing.
Exactly. So do your research.
So much research.
But it's worth it in the long run.
Oh, okay. So there are definitely challenges, but there are also ways to overcome them.
That's right. One of our sources actually gave 13 tips for succeeding in a master's program in Dubai.
Okay, those sound helpful.
Yeah, they are. So the first one was choose your university wisely.
Meaning?
Look at the accreditation, check out the faculty, make sure the course structure aligns with your goals.
Okay, that makes sense. What else?
Learn the visa regulations inside and out.
So important.
Yeah, and make a budget, a realistic budget,
And stick to it.
as much as possible.
Yeah,
Yeah, and of course, look for scholarships.
every bit helps.
Definitely. And then network.
We've heard that a lot.
It's crucial in Dubai.
Okay, what else?
Look for internship opportunities, get that practical experience,
Good advice.
and learn about the local culture.
Show respect.
And make the adjustment easier on yourself.
Makes sense.
And they also said work on more soft skills, things like leadership and communication.
Those are always valuable.
And utilize the resources your university offers, like career services.
Good point.
Stay organized, manage your time well,
Easier said than done sometimes.
but so important, and find healthy ways to manage stress.
because grad school is stressful.
It can be, yeah. And stay updated on job market trends, know what employers are looking for,
Keep learning.
and finally get involved in the community.
Meet people outside of your program.
Yeah, experience the city.
Wow. That's a lot of great advice.
It is. It's a lot to take in, but it's all about being prepared.
Absolutely. Okay, so let's shift gears a bit and hear from some people who have actually been through this experience.
Some real-world perspectives.
Yeah, I'm always curious to hear what people actually learned from going through the process.
Well, we have a quote from Professor Dr. Ahmed El-Jaber, who teaches at Dubai International University.
Okay, what does he say?
He says that students who network actively have a much higher chance of getting a job.
So networking really does matter.
He says it increases their chances by as much as 40%.
Wow. That's a significant difference.
Yeah, it really shows how important those connections are.
Absolutely. And we also have a quote from Sarah Khan, who got her MBA in Dubai and is now working there. Okay, what's her take?
She emphasizes the importance of internships and research projects.
So it's not just about the degree itself.
Right? It's about getting that practical experience.
Makes you stand out in the job market.
Exactly. And we also came across a really interesting case study.
Oh, tell me about it.
It's about a student named Ravi Patel from India who did his MBA at Holt International Business School in Dubai.
Okay.
So he actually faced some financial challenges at first.
But he wanted to study in Dubai.
Yeah, he was determined, and he managed to get a scholarship that covered 40% of his tuition fees.
That's great.
Yeah, and then he got an internship at a fintech company during his studies.
Smart move.
And after he graduated, he landed a job as a finance analyst.
So it all worked out for him.
It did, and his big takeaway was that networking was absolutely crucial for him.
That's a common thread.
It really is. It seems to be the key to success in Dubai.
And he specifically mentioned the startup scene in Dubai as being really supportive.
Oh, yeah. He said it provided him with more internship opportunities, part-time work, and even helped him find scholarships.
So it's a good environment for ambitious students.
It sounds like it, yeah.
Yeah.
And we also came across stories of other students who found success with the help of guidance and support.
Like what kind of support?
Well, there's Shantakumar, who got into a master's program in artificial intelligence with a partial scholarship.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, and then there's Rajath, who got help with his visa application and financial planning for his master's in analytics for business analytics.
So navigating those practicalities?
Exactly. And then there's Yash S.K., who managed to secure a 50% scholarship for his master's in cybersecurity.
Wow, those are some great examples.
It shows that it's possible to overcome the challenges and achieve your goals.
Absolutely. Okay, so we've heard from students. What about some perspectives from leaders in education in Dubai?
We've got some quotes that give a broader view.
Okay, who are they from?
Well, first we have Dr. Christopher Abraham, who's the CEO and director of S.P. Jain School of Global Management in Dubai.
Okay, what's his take?
He highlights Dubai's location, its infrastructure, its focus on innovation, and its strong industry connections.
All the things we've been talking about.
Exactly. He sees these as key advantages for master's students who are preparing for the global job market.
Makes sense. And who else did you talk to?
We also have Dr. Issa Pastaki, who's the president of the University of Dubai.
Okay, and what's his perspective?
He talks about Dubai's commitment to excellence, its emphasis on research technology and entrepreneurship.
So really being at the forefront of things.
Yeah, and he points to the multicultural environment, the industry-driven curricula, and the access to fast-growing economies as major benefits for international students.
Really making the case for Dubai?
He is so... Taking all of this into account, what do you think are the most crucial things for someone to keep in mind if they're seriously considering a master's in Dubai?
Like the key takeaways from all this research?
Well, the things that kept coming up again and again were networking, financial planning, and cultural adaptation.
Those seem to be the recurring themes.
Networking can really open doors for you in terms of job opportunities.
We've heard that from multiple sources.
And financial planning is essential. You need to know how you're going to pay for everything and manage your expenses.
Especially in an expensive city like Dubai.
Right. And being open to the local culture and willing to adapt is really important for a smooth transition.
It's all about being prepared and having the right mindset.
Absolutely.
So it sounds like getting a master's in Dubai can be a really rewarding experience.
It can if you do your research and plan carefully.
You can gain valuable skills, build your network, and open up global career opportunities.
It's a unique blend of high-quality education, a thriving economy, and a multicultural environment.
But it's not without its challenges.
You need to be realistic about the costs and be prepared to adapt to a new culture.
So as you're listening to this and thinking about your own goals and aspirations, what aspect of studying in Dubai stands out to you the most?
What really grabs your attention?
And what other questions do you have as you continue to explore this possibility?
What else do you need to know to make an informed decision?
That's really what it's all about, gathering the information and then deciding if it's the right path for you.
Exactly. It's your journey.
And we're here to help you navigate it.
One step at a time.
Thanks for joining us on The Deep Dive.
Until next time.
Keep diving.